Hey guys, alright, gonna try this video again. I keep kind of trying to go too fast or whatever and stopping it, and I don't know, I'm just gonna try not to overthink it. So I'm still going through making all these little Greeble bits, and it's been really fun, but also kind of slow going. And I think I don't know, it's reaching the point where it's all very fun, but I'm looking at everything that I want to do and realizing that if I keep up at this level of detail, I will get very little done, but I'll have a bunch of cool gauges. So I wanted to talk about how I go from, taking a random image and turning it into something, a 3D model like this. And it's mostly just basic techniques, but there's a few tips about alignment and stuff like that that I wanted to talk about. And so we'll get into that. First, I want to show you the hyperbole scene, still going good. Yeah, and it'll be like a welcome to the hyperbole, and I don't have permission to play this music. So yeah, making just lots of little bits. So let's get into it. And one of the reasons I was having trouble is because there's so many different ways to approach everything, and I was trying to make one video that covered all of them. And so let's start with an easy one, and that's gonna be this one because I know there's a lot going on, but the perspective's really easy. It's just basic shapes. You look at this, it's like, oh, cylinder, and they're like up is up, down is down. We don't have any rotation on it, and so let's set this up over in Blender and just see what we can do. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is set up an orthographic camera, and that just means it's not gonna have perspective going on. And you do that under the camera settings, orthographic. You want to make sure the objects are in front of the camera because you can't see them if they're behind, which I guess is all cameras. I like to set things up first so that if I hit 1 on the numpad, if I'm in front view, that's where the camera's facing, because if I hit GX, I want it to go left, right, GZ, up and down, because those are the easiest to hit with my hand just relaxed on the left side of the keyboard. It's a little bit of a stretch to reach to Y, and it's a little bit more rare that I want to move the cube backwards, and so this is just how I want to know when I hit the keys which way stuff's gonna move. Alright, so select the camera, check background image, load in our image of the super gasket. It's stretched, but we can just click fit, and that fixes that all up. And I'm gonna have it project from the front so that our modeling doesn't obscure it. Okay, so all we gotta do here is put in our cylinder. Actually, here, let me turn on the screencasting real quick. I leave it. Oh, it's off right now. Okay. So cylinder. And let's turn this down to like 14. And maybe that's too low. I like keeping things really low so I can have a million of these without, the whole scene getting bogged down. But it's kind of up to you. Alright, and so, yeah, and I'm just lining up my cylinder here with this. And mostly what we're going to be doing is extruding and hitting, that's E, hitting I to inset. And we're going to be doing some beveling too, which is where, you just hit B. And extreme basic stuff. I'm assuming most of you guys kind of know that. So extrude, S to scale, and just kind of lining this up with all this stuff here. If you're not perfectly lined up, don't worry too much about it, because we're going to be lining this all up in the UV editor too. So that's kind of a buffer. In fact, we can make up new objects and get rid of whole problematic areas in the texturing process too. So I'm kind of just trying to mock this in right now. I really don't think I'm doing anything you guys aren't all familiar with. Extrude, scale, extrude, scale, extrude, scale, extrude. Like, see, it's just the same stuff. Extrude, scale, extrude. Are you getting tired of me talking yet? Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna pull open a new panel here and go to UV editor, and right now it doesn't even know what's going on, so we're gonna make a new material, call it, and for the base color we'll make it an image texture with our super gasket. And right now, it doesn't know what is what. It kind of wraps stuff onto the original cylinder, but everything else is all stretched out. So from our view, we are going to select everything and hit U, project from view. And look at that, it's right there, but it doesn't line up because the aspect ratio of the camera frame doesn't actually match the image. Remember, because it's fitting there. And maybe there's a way to deal with this automatically, but it's not all that hard to just select it and, you know, scale it out on the x-axis and just put it in there. Cool. Oh, I forgot one little bit. There's a kind of looks like a square bit, and so let me just put in a cube here. Do that, because that makes the whole piece a little bit interesting. I want to get that in there, and maybe another one right here, and then I think there's little bolts in the corners too. So if you hit Shift S, that snaps to the center of whatever you have selected. And so I could like go right here and be like, hey, let's add a bolt there. But I think I want to just like, if I select these two faces, again, it goes to the top middle of that face. So now I can put in a cylinder with 6 vertices, because that's boltish, yeah? They're usually hexagons. All right, move that one over there. And do they stick out below? Not really, no. So that's good. And now I'm gonna select, I'm gonna hit Control Alt, and that selects all of the edges along that edge loop. And if I hold down Shift also, we can select that one too. And then if we hit Control B, look at that. Okay, so now I'm gonna project all of these at the same time again. Do that. Oh, well, wasn't in camera view. There we go. Project from view. Scale them out until they fit. And look at that, we've got our thing. Except, of course, if we go to the side, it's all stretched and looks bad. And so, also, it's a little bit bumpy. So I'm going to right-click Shade Smooth, which makes it look pillowy. But if we go down into the Object Data thing here, and under Normals, we check Auto Smooth, it gets a little smarter. You might have to tweak the angle depending on, you know, how many vertices you have. And so, okay, how do we fix up these stretchy bits? Well, we have different unwrap modes. And actually, the first thing I might do is go through here and, like you can see right here, you can see this curve. We can fix stuff like that really easily just by like, you know, you can line it up like that. And that's a little bit of a pain in the butt. And so maybe we don't do that. I'm just going to select all of these faces here, and I'm going to hit U, Cylinder Projection, and that gives us this nice row of faces right here. And I can just stick those like in there. Except you can see right here, because this should be wrapping, this is only a small section, we're using it to wrap all the way around. One thing we can do is we can actually just select these, flip it, and double it back over on itself. And now we can use this whole thing here, and it's a little bit more dense, and that's cool. There is that mirroring bit right there, and we could get rid of that if we, you know, just slid it over like that. If you care, honestly, this seems like it's being very particular to me, but just extrude it out just a little bit. So cylinder projection, that is a weird thing because like right here, it works great. Look at that, it is unwrapped that cylinder, and that's what we want. But if you're at any other angle, look at that. It's like, it's basically, imagine you're reaching into a book and opening a book, or like it's more like a tin can, I suppose. Like let's say we're looking at it from the top here, and we say unwrap, and it's kind of, you can see it pries it open a little bit, and so you have to make sure that you are on that axis in an orthographic mode for it to unwrap clean. If you happen to be like in another angle, like sometimes I will hit Alt-D for the object and move the object into an angle so that it's easier to get that perspective, like this. And so whatever I do here will also happen on this one, but it's on an easier angle for me to unwrap. And so I actually like those big beefy bits like that. That's big beefy bits. That's kind of cool. Oh, is Caitlin home? I think Caitlin just got home. So let's actually, let's save that. Boop. Okay, and so that's kind of a lot of how how you do it in this case. One thing I like to do up here, like, I don't know, let's inset, extrude, inset. We'll make a little nozzle thing. And select these bits right here. You cylinder projection, stick them somewhere nice. You get to just make it up, and I love it. And this top view here, I'm gonna select. If you alt-click on a thing, you select the whole edge loop. So let's select these vertical bits. In fact, let's select everything because we projected from the side. Any vertical facing face is going to be all stretched like this. So if we just select all of these, we can do all of them at once. And one thing I like to do is do that and stick them all in a non-problematic area, like right there. That's just a nice ambiguous texture. And hello, Kaylin. I have been trying to record this video all day, and I think I finally have a groove. So I'm gonna try to wrap it up, and I will see you in a minute. I love you. Did the cat come in? Oh, hello. Oh, he has to just. You sit on a couch. You don't scratch the couch. That couch. That must feel so good if you're a kitty. Okay. I did. He is fed and frisky. Okay. Oh, now scratching the rug. We have trees outside. He's an outdoor cat, but he comes inside to scratch the furniture. He's a good kitty. Okay, so where were we? Oh yeah, just sticking all of these vertical bits, and that just makes sure that nothing is stretched. And if you want, you can take one of these bits and put it somewhere more interesting. Like maybe we have this washer here, and we'll line up this worn edge. Boop, and then it's. I don't even know if that's better. And a lot of times here also, I'll go through and I'll select a loop and hit Control B and add some beveling just to make it feel a little bit more organic. But yeah, that's basically what you do. And you can pop one of these out real quick. So like right here, let's give this top bit something more interesting. You cylinder projection, and where's a good bit? Maybe we'll just reuse. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, we'll just reuse that part, and then we get to use the new texture the new detail that created to kind of add that. Just yeah, now we got a big old gasket. You cylinder projection, stick that there, and maybe we'll do the same thing we did before, where we mirror this. Woo, and maybe we offset just the. Maybe we'll do that later. Cool. We stick that there, and yeah, that's all working really good. And then smooth that, make it organic. Sure. Okay, so one thing you might be thinking is that this. Okay, let's be completionists. We'll just stick that somewhere friendly. One thing you might be thinking is that the does not look realistic, and that is because it isn't. It's just it responds to lighting exactly the same way everywhere. Are you guys fine? We could fix that. We could fix that. We're not going to though. As long as you know that and how we could. Okay, so let's work on the texturing here. I'm gonna bring in an environment because materials are how the object, interacts with light, and so we need more interesting lighting to get more interesting materials. Is a thing I think. So there we go. We got this going on, and cycles is going to be more accurate. But a lot of times for the broad strokes, I like doing it in Eevee. So this one right here, the image has a lot of bump data already kind of there, like bright and dark areas. So I'm just going to plug this straight into the normal and stick a bump map in there, plug it into the height, bring it down a little with the distance, and then turn the strength down. And this will show you some of the JPEG artifacts, and it kind of is up to you whether you care. It's one of the times when having a higher res texture really can make a difference, but usually I'll never see it bigger than like this, and so this is already very high detail for me. Okay, and now for roughness, let's duplicate this, and I'm gonna load in a different texture. I'm gonna add more randomness. I always use this one just because it looks grungy, and That's all we're really trying to get. I'm going to plug that straight into the roughness, and okay, it's kind of interesting. Maybe too glossy. Yes. You looking for the cat? I do not know where he is. The cat doesn't come into the church often, and so. Okay, black is pure gloss, and white is pure roughness. And if we Control-Shift-click on this, we can see what it's doing right now. This is our roughness map, and so if I bring this up, you know, we can dial it in a little bit. And so now we're taking full advantage of the dynamic range of the JPEG. Maybe that's the wrong word. We can make our black not pure gloss, kind of lift that a little bit, and maybe we bring the white down a little bit too. And Control-Shift-click on final node to get back to there. And that's still very shiny, isn't it? So we could just turn down specular. In fact, maybe we'll just do that. And also bring this up. Yeah, there we go. That's kind of a... And if we jump into cycles here, that's a fine little hose attachment. And what I like is that, say you have like a whole row of these guys, you could, like, you know, you have then this one, then you have, you know, this one's squashed with this like here, and stick that like that, and you can make a big variety. I guess this big ring is kind of dominating the scene, so we could use this guy instead. But once you make a couple of these, that's like, you know, you get a lot of mileage out of them. Actually, these all look fairly homogeneous, don't they? Let's make it real funky. But yeah, mixing and matching between a few of these is pretty fun. Okay, so now let's do a slightly harder one. File, new, don't save, and okay, wire bit. Because a lot of times, if you're modeling, you know, like your big robot or your spaceship or something, and you've modeled the frame of the robot arm or the foot, and then you want to go in and model the little robot fuel line held together with zip ties and tinfoil. It's a very rickety robot. No, but this is a tiny detail, and it kind of slows down your momentum if you have to go in and model all of this by hand, which is why I like having just a project full of these little bits, and I'll put on a podcast and get a sandwich and just kind of make them, which is what we're doing now. So you can see this one is not straight on. We've got perspective, which is actually, it's harder to model, but it's good because that means now we have all this data for this, you know, this whole new dimension. Just means we want to line up our camera first. And so I'm gonna go back into here, take our camera, turn it into orthographic, and we have to decide right now what, yeah. Okay, so doing the same thing we did before, rotating it forwards, and loading in our background image. It's gonna be that little boop, the wire bit. Cool. And I guess the solution to that whole stretching thing I was talking about before, the aspect ratio, is I just make the dimensions of the camera match the image, and so that's nice. But this is honestly not a hard thing to fix. Okay. Let's bring this to the front. Make it slightly more visible. Boop. Okay, so what we want to do here is try to line up this perspective with the image. And if you have a lot of like foreshortening, like you know, looking down a city street and stuff's disappearing and all of that, and like stuff in the distance is smaller, you might want to use a utility called F-Spy or some other method to line up your camera with that perspective. But in this case, we're not really worried about stuff shrinking in the distance. It's just about lining up the orientation. So I'm going to make a six-sided shape here. And instead of rotating the object to line up with the image, I want to rotate the camera so that I can still just hit GZ and have stuff go up and down. Okay, so I want to just kind of line this up with this and see how it works. Cool. Honestly, did I? Let's see. Oh. Yeah, I think I want to line up this axis like this. There we go. So now this kind of grid is going along, matching that pipe, and I think that'll make life a little easier. This is the important part. However this turns out is going to dictate a lot of how much fun you're having for the rest of the time. So that looks pretty close, right? Okay, so now we can just start right with this piece right here. Inset. Can I just subdivide? Go to, oh, yeah. So I subdivided that, and that means now I can select these and hit, what is it? Alt-Shift-S and make it circular. I can extrude down, inset, extrude, inset, extrude. Yeah! Let's select this bottom face here and inset, extrude, and I want to make a new chunk, a new object, basically right where I'm already working. So I'm going to hit Shift-S, cursor to selected, and now everything I add is going to appear right there. Let's make another cylinder with slightly more vertices. I'm trying to keep it low poly, but not like, you know, ridiculous. Okay. If you go into X-ray mode, you can select the bottom faces, obviously. I'm hitting Alt-Z to toggle between them, but it's also just this button right here. The other cool thing is that if you're in this mode here, or a orthographic side view, and you want to select the top face, you can't in regular mode, but in X-ray mode, you can. So that's nice. Okay, so let's just kind of make up what we think this thing is doing here, because I can't totally tell. Looks like it ends in a hexagonal bolt, but I'm not particularly worried. Okay, so that's about the size of the pipe. And we're going to do the pipe in kind of a fun way. So I'm just going to shift right click. No? Control right click? Control right click right there. And it will just start extruding. Whoa. Okay, why is that so wild? Whoa. I'm gonna try seeing what I can do here. I think maybe, yeah, I'm gonna rotate this so that it's actually in line with us and see what that does. No? Wow! Okay, well, maybe I'll come back to that and hope I can figure out why that is. Normally that method's really cool because it just extrudes it out there and you can mock out, you know, a whole cable really quickly. Okay, so I'm gonna alt-click on this to select that, rotate it 90 degrees. Let me bring it down, and I don't have caps on the end, so F, scale, extrude, scale, and Control-click. This one seems to be working better. Control-click, Control-click. Yeah, it seems like it's doing okay. And right now, it's extruding out along the same camera plane as the camera, and we can fix that later if we want to. Okay, so let's get this little gunk here. This is gonna be great gunk. If you want to, I'm gonna hit Control Plus on the numpad to select the faces in either direction also. And let's right-click, subdivide, and under this panel here, I'm gonna turn it the fractal to make it a little bumpy, and maybe we'll kind of maintain some of that, you know, wrapped cloth feeling there. Okay, so what else do we got? I'm gonna select this ring, shrink it down, and I just like using nearby geometry when I'm making a new thing, just so that I don't have to line up and, you know, slide everything around on the X, Y, and Z axis. Okay. Inset, extrude, and let's try it one more time. Oh, it's getting weird. It's getting weird. Okay. Well, that's fine. You can also just, you know, extrude and, you know, do the usual thing. But when the other method works, it is very nice. Okay, so say you've done this, but it looks like an angular piece of junk, and you're not particularly happy. Well, it's actually really easy to go in and clean this up. I'm just gonna Alt-click on these edge loops here. In fact, if I hold Alt and Shift, I can select multiple at once. Gotta make sure you're actually hitting the right loop, though. And I'm going to bevel them, which basically kind of splits the difference between two angles. And so I use bevel more for smoothing out, stuff, then I use it for even like actually, you know, properly beveling corners. So now if I hit Control B, look at that. We can just smooth out our little pipe. Cool. Okay, so more of this stuff here. You just get a new little wad. The little pieces like this that kind of help define just the silhouette end up being so valuable. Like, you can sticking out of something, and it makes the whole object so much more interesting. Okay, so what? Oh, that's a little bit weird. All right, select that. Cursor just selected. Let's just start with a new cylinder. Whoa, it's big. Gonna quickly make sure it's somewhere sensible. There we go. And okay, so say we were in a place like, I'm gonna hide this right here so we can kind of see what we're doing a little bit easier. Say we're working like this, and we have this lined up, and we think it's lined up, but now if we try to move it on an axis, it doesn't. We can't just move it in. We're gonna change our orientation mode to just normal, and now I think we can just hit. We just hit GZ, and look at that. This makes it so much easier. This is actually the one thing I forgot to do in a different video I tried to record of this earlier today, and so I'm very happy that I remember to bring it into play this time. Okay. Cool. And now that we're there, it won't be very hard to, let's see. If I add a cube in this? No. Okay. Can I copy normal orientation? I'm sure there's a way to do that. Create a cube that's using this orientation. In fact, I think what I can do is add a new orientation and call it this one. And now if I create a cube, nope, okay, not gonna sink a lot of time into figuring that out. I think there's a way to do that though, which is very cool. I'm just trying to add enough gunk here to make it look as if maybe these pieces are connected. Boop. Okay, and maybe do the same on the other side. A lot of times this feels like overkill, except we're gonna use, or I'm gonna use these bits so many times in my life. Like, I'll just stick these everywhere, and so the more complexity that's there for every time I do this, I'm actually doing it, you know, the 100 times that I'm going to use this object. Maybe bevel this, maybe getting ahead of myself, but I do love a good bevel. Extrude this, and we're not really in alignment with that right there, and so maybe I'll turn on proportional editing, and right now I'm grabbing everything. Let's just change it to connected, and oh, I'm still on the orientation from that original face. So let's just go to global. So GZ, yes. Boop. And I think right now we're kind of out of, yeah, we're extruding not along the thing, so I'm gonna tweak it. In fact, at any point, if you want, you can just realign stuff. Extrude, scale, extrude, scale. Extruding and scaling, it's all that we do. Okay, and this is kind of a weird knob. What's the best way to deal with that? This will not be the loveliest object, but okay, now I'm gonna select this, Control B, kind of smooth it out. Same thing with this bit here. Cool. Okay, grab that face, and I think it's actually much larger, but so right now we're kind of working in 2D. Like, I don't really know what this geometry is doing depth-wise, and so I'm gonna, okay, this is actually okay. Sometimes you end up with stuff where some of it's, you know, slipping way out this way or whatever, and it's not that hard to fix. Because a lot of times if you could use like proportional editing here and try to smooth that out, but then when you go back into this view, it doesn't line up here anymore. So one thing you can do here, let me open up another view here. You can change the orientation to view, and now I think is it still G? Yeah, so now I'm moving this around but not changing where it is on the texture. So that's just kind of a fun thing to be able to do. In fact, it's weird that this cable doesn't have an end, so I might model this and stick that on the end just so that it has a A terminus. Is that a word? I feel like that's a word I want to use all the time. Okay, so cursor selected. Global cylinder. Okay. In fact, I should probably change this to normal right now. Boop. Okay, and maybe extrude this out. It really is nice working in like a normal, you know, transform orientation. Okay, and yeah, let's keep this one going. That's still being weird. Somebody, you guys are gonna know exactly what's happening that's weird. Maybe the tool isn't even meant to be used like that, and I've just been really lucky in the past, but okay. Scale, shrink. I want this beefy wad here. Yeah. Extrude, shrink. Okay. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. Oh, wait, it keeps going, doesn't it? Oh, and that's the good bit. You guys can skip ahead. You know how to use the internet, right? You just skip this part. Maybe I will stop talking. No, I'll keep talking. So this is the same bit as here. So maybe we just. Ba-doop. I think that's exactly what we do. Okay, so grabbing this one. If we're smart, look at this. I'm just in the side view here. Now I can place it where I want it in this view, and just jump back and forth. Oh. That would be a very smart way to work. I always tend to use like one viewport, which is honestly, I don't know. If I could figure out better habits, it would probably save me a bunch of time. So my guess here is that we're not lined up with this piece that we want to be lined up with. Boop, 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 boop. Worked good that time. And so we're going to have to do some cleanup here. And I am looking forward to it. Go there. Whoa. Hey, actually, no cleanup. What a bummer. Looks like it's all just working like a tiny little texture miracle. Okay. And this is going to be an ugly object. This is great. You would never make this if you were just like, I'm gonna model something beautiful. You would never make this ugly thing, and that is why I like this. Okay, so let's see. Does this actually kind of line up? It mostly does. Maybe right here I want this to all look like it's connected. So I'll go into View and go into my side view here, and just hit GZ. Oh, turn on. Yeah, there we go. There. Now let's see what we can do if we just give it our material. This will be wire bit. That's not bad fuel line. It's a very bad fuel line. Like, we can just bypass it with this hose. And you know the rules by now. We just keep refining stuff forever until the video is 40 minutes long. Cool. Okay, base color. Image texture. Load in the wire bit. Select everything U, project from view, go into the UV editor, and we'll have to scale it on the Y-axis to make it fit. Woo! Maybe reposition, or do we just have to do that? Oh, cool. Okay, that seems to work okay to me. Okay, so now if we go, first I'm just gonna shade smooth, normals, auto smooth, and right here this is a little blocky, but if I turn up the angle, it's gonna smooth that out. Whoa! Means I probably should have used more than 12 vertices, but I'm still fine with that. Okay, so this is what we're starting with, and this is pretty okay. Actually, it's better than I expected. One thing, obviously, is we've got a lot of cleanup in big areas like this, and so we can do our usual technique of select this, expand it, go to the front view, and because we're already on a nice, orthographic view, we can just nope, cylinder projection. What I love is that cylinder projection is so clean when it actually works, and then we stick it on somewhere worthy. Okay. And let's see, what else do we got here? So this whole zone is a little bit of a mess, isn't it? Maybe I want something with a similar kind of texture value, but can I just use this whole length here, and is that fine? I don't know. We'll never get close to this. He says, as an excuse for everything. Okay, and I also like to go in here at this point and select some of these edge loops and just give them a little bevel. And also, yeah, here we go. Okay, so we had this good bit. Ooh, I'm gonna stick that on this hose just to kind of clean that up. We're still in the view orientation, but here we go here. Cool. And this bit's maybe too thick? Ooh, that's a good screw. We need to get an actual screw in here, don't we? Alright, so for angles like this, this is what I was talking about earlier. I'm going to, because nothing's square, Alt-D, so everything we do to this one will also happen to the other, and just rotate this until we're actually looking at it square, like that. And now if we do our cylinder, on projection, cylinder projection on there, we've got it pretty square in a way that it wasn't before. So maybe we'll use this bit right here. Yeah, that looks good. What other problem areas are we seeing? Things like this are always annoying. So one thing you can do that's kind of fun. In fact, let's deal with it with the bolt. See, we have no, not the bolt. What's a good place to show this? So this cylinder bit right here. Why can't I select anything? Oh, because I'm still in. Of course. Okay, so here we've got this cylinder bit, and it works good for the front, but the back is projecting through all of this stuff. And so I'm just gonna select this loop, delete the part deselect the part that works, flip it, scale Y -1, line it back up, and do the same with this one. And now we're just using that same bit for both the front and the back, and that can be a very nice technique sometimes. In fact, let's do that for this one too. So yeah, scale it backwards. Da-da-da, da-da-da. There we go. Now we're just using that same little bit for both of them. This is not the best showcase of that technique, but it's really cool. It works really, really good for boxes and stuff because the box will hide the seam where it mirrors to. Forgive me if I've already talked about this. I've tried to record this video literally like 6 times today, and so I'm getting those like, did I say that in this video or in a previous attempt? I think I want to bring this pipe over closer, so turn on proportional editing. Yeah. Smooth these guys out. Cool. In fact, let's see. I like this whole bit. Let's just use it again. No, this bit. Yes. Use that bit again. Because See, I'm mostly just trying to work with the silhouette of these things. Like I want a piece like this that I can just stick, you know, along a beam or something like that, and it looks like it's like a water manifold or something like that. In fact, if I were smart right now, I'd be putting these little, I'd make like a little bracket. In fact, let's just do it. It's really quick. What's the smart way to do this? Delete this, and then I'm just gonna like extrude up, extrude down. Kind of swap these. Okay. U cube projection, which just projects from every angle, and stick it somewhere. Fine. It's kind of boring. Let's stick it here. Too bright. Yeah, there we go. No one will ever notice that. This is just looking surprisingly ugly, frankly. I thought it would just kind of work, but let's see. Where's a good? Maybe it's just because it's so big, probably. One more time. Sure, whatever. Okay, and now once we have this, but you can see the difference too. Like this is how I would make a bracket. I'm like, you know, a cylinder with a flat plane where you stick the hexagonal bolt, and it's just such a kind of ham-fisted like knowledge of design that I have, where it's like you add a bunch of this stuff together and it looks fine, but you don't get that natural, you know, visual language of engineered stuff. There's certain shapes you only come up with when you're trying to actually make all of these pieces fit into, like, you know, an undercarriage or something. Why is this scaling weird? Apply scale. Oh, okay. I think I had weird scaling on. Or I didn't apply the scaling with the object? That's very bizarre. Okay, so we got that. We got... I'm going to try and make it flat. So it actually mounts on a wall. Not very cleanly. In fact, let's select all these. Because we're going to do a big old proportional edit just to kind of finish off this whole thing. So this last hidden bolt. Got it. Going to make it a different object. And let's just see if we can kind of move all this stuff into this. Turn on proportional editing, have it affect everything. Bring this. We'll make this one connected only. Whoop. Okay. And I guess maybe these bits are kind of intersecting, but great. And now we have a weird little wall module. Let's make it bigger. Yeah, there we go. Just cheat. Same thing with this one here. Let's grab this last ring, and I'm gonna use... Oh, if it turns out I wasn't recording this whole time, I will be disappointed. I'll use linear. Just move the whole thing kind of straight. And maybe the same thing with this one. In fact, let's make that... I don't know. I was going to have it connect. We can do that. Just get in there. Cool. And rejoin those back up. And now we have our nice little weird bit that you could just use so many times. And again, you do want to probably take bits like this and reproject them. It looks a little bit stretched, maybe. Well, that's because the technician stepped on it, and he has since been fired for negligence. Unlike me, who's fired for malicious intention. Let's try and come up with a follow-up to that, like a little pun. I didn't. I'm done now. I'm just like, I'm making it. This is the fun part when you're like, ooh, it could be done. But also, let me just look through like what additional nonsense we could add. You project from view, stick it somewhere dark. Yeah, okay. And oh, of course we gotta add our. Is that a point light here? Be bright. Gonna add our usual suspects of normal map and roughness. Vector bump. Plug it in the height. You've seen me do this. Turn down the distance. I do that because you guys told me to. I still honestly don't particularly see a difference, but if you guys saw some tutorial that said it's a good idea, well, I trust you. For this one, let's just plug the color straight into the roughness, and it's going to make some of it very shiny. But if we put in a color ramp and make the black, a little rougher, that reads kind of okay. It's a little matted, isn't it? Yeah, that's pretty cool. So yeah, that's one way to do it. If you want to make an object out of an image. Great. Okay. Where's this? And I was recording.